creating a growth culture. All right, let's dig into this. There are 5 components to this, and we're going to go through those 5 components. So your organizational identity, the domino goal, the guest-centered culture, raising a leader of leaders or leadership of leaders, and the true secret to growth. And by the way, at the very end, I will also have my a QR code, which will drop you straight into my email. So if you want this slide deck, I'll get you this whole slide deck. And also, if you want me to speak at your groups, more than happy to do that also. So we'll go through these 5 components that you need for growth. We're going to start with your organizational identity. So who are you? And why does that even matter? It matters because we attract who we are. So I'm working with Keynotes and More right now. That's one of my groups. It is an advanced group. And then my home group is Early Bird Ocala. Love both of my groups. My home group is in person. My Keynotes and More advanced group is all online. And one of the conversations that I was having last night with Stan, who is at Keynotes and More, is who are we? Because without knowing who we are, how do we move forward with attracting? How do we even know what that is? And one of the things that we did with our group, well, I'll walk you through what we did with our group up in Early Birds. So the first thing we did is we sent out a survey. So I want you guys to look at these personal core values. And I want you to write down 3 or 4 of them that align up with you. So you personally, this is not an exhaustive list. It is merely a list. There's a billion different core values out there. We put together this list and we sent out the survey to all of our members up at Early Bird Ocala with just literally a click box. Answer this question. How many of these apply to you personally that you believe are your personal core values? So go ahead and take a second and just write down 3 or 4 of them that ring very true for you. Or if you are not on this list and you've got something else that really rings true for you, put that down also. I'll give you a second to go ahead and do that. And then look up and smile at me when you're done, and I'll know you're done. All right. Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Linda. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. 1, 2, 3, going. Let me see if my screen will actually let me move. Let's do it this way then, since my screen doesn't want to move. There we go. Organizational core values. Okay. These are organizational core values. These are the core values that different people have said that they need to grow in an organization, because it not just matters who we are, it matters who our organization is. So go ahead and take a second and look at this list also and pick out a couple of them, 3, 4 maybe, that align up with what you need in order to have personal and professional growth in an organization. And again, what we did with this while you're doing that is we just had 2 questions on the survey. What do you personally have for core values? And what do you need for personal and professional growth in an organization for core values? And we put that out and we let people click as many boxes as they wanted to. And we also let them add in anything that they wanted to. And then we gathered up all that information. So as soon as you have that, go ahead and smile at me. And then I'm going to ask if I've got any brave souls that kind of want to share their personal core values and their organizational core values. Thank you, Michael, by the way. Do I have anybody that wants to share? We'll break here for a second and go through these.
I'll share.
Love it. Thanks, Jackie. What you got?
Sorry, I'm off camera first off the bat.
You're fine, sweetie.
But dyeing my hair today. So you don't get to see that. My personal core values, I picked off the list: adventure, courage, and honesty. And my organizational core values, things that I felt I needed to get out of an organization in order for me to feel aligned with them, I felt was accountability, respect, and learning.
Love it. Okay. Now my question to you, do you see any dovetailing between your, thank you first, by the way, do you see any dovetailing between your personal core values and the organization and how you grow. Do you see how those overlap?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure do.
All right. So where do you see that overlapping?
One of my core values is honesty, and that's just true of me across the board. I will always tell the truth as delicately as I can, but people never have to worry about me being dishonest. And I expect that to come back in respect. I consider honesty a form of respect. So from an organization, I expect honesty to come back to me in the form of honesty. Because there's a lot of people that, talk and blow a lot of smoke. I don't consider that to be respectful. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it does to me. Oh, you're muted somehow. I can't hear you. Is it me?
Unmute. Perfect. Let me go back into my screen. All right. I have no idea what happened there. But let's go back over here again. That was weird. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that who our membership is and what it is that they need to personally and professionally grow have alignment. And that's why it was so important to start off with, who are you and what do you need to grow? And do we have alignment? And we actually put together a cheat sheet on this, and we lined them up to see where we had alignment, and it helped us with what our organization was about. So we learned when we did this up in Early Bird that we were about learning-based. Learning was actually huge on this one. Growth, authenticity, results. We were very relational. We liked fun, and we liked openness. I really kind of wanted to get a grasp of who we were. But then the other component of what our identity was all about was where our growth stage was. So every organization has 4 different components of growth stages. So there's startup, pivot, relaunch, and nurture. The 2 at the top, you have the same leadership. So you support that leadership. The 2 at the bottom, the nurture and the relaunch, have shifted leadership. Startup and nurture, you support that culture and you build up and lift up that culture. But pivot and relaunch, you've got to shift that culture. So I'm going to walk you through what these are. So a startup, everyone knows what a startup is. Startup is brand new. So it's like, woohoo, we got a startup. You've got strong culture, strong energy. So you support that. You've got the leadership that's starting it up. So you support that leadership. And it's very much a plow forward with the same energy. Moving over to a pivot club or a pivot organization is an organization that had something happen to them either internally or externally. And it could be anything. It could be that a beloved leader has left. It could be there was some changes in the organization that were, maybe they had to move space. And so they've lost some of their members and they need to pivot now. Or maybe COVID happened. So something has happened internally or externally, but leadership is really, really good. So it's not a problem with the leadership, but we do need to shift the culture because the culture has changed into an organization that is going down rather than an organization that is growing. So that's what a pivot is versus a relaunch. A relaunch, usually the problem is the leadership. So think of a hostile takeover with a company. Think of that kind of a situation. So you have to have a new culture. The culture needs to shift, and you need to have a leadership shift as well. So that's the difference between pivot and relaunch. With relaunch, the problem's internal. You need to have a new leadership shift. With pivot, the problem could be internal, could be external, but you've got great leadership. You just need to have an energy shift to move back forward again, the direction it should be going. And then nurture is a type of club that usually has had a huge growth in membership or a huge boom of some sort. In organizations, it might be a huge influx of money. A lot of times it is a huge influx of hiring, et cetera. And you have great energy and you have great culture, but a lot of times the leadership that helped that club or that organization grow to that new expanded, maybe you grew twice the size that you used to be, is usually not the same leadership skills that are going to nurture that club. So think about if you just brought on 20 new members in a Toastmasters club, but you never ever help them get into pathways and get their speeches going. Okay, they need to be nurtured and grown and helped through pathways. So you can grow and you can grow really fast, but then you have to stop and turn around and make sure that you're nurturing. So that's what the difference is with the nurture club is. So again, startup and nurture, you support the energy and the culture. It's moving great. Pivot and relaunch needs to have a culture shift. And then at the top of that, startup and pivot, it's got great leadership. Keep moving forward with the same leadership. The nurture and the relaunch, there needs to be a shift in leadership. It doesn't necessarily mean that has to be a completely new leader. It has to be a shift in leadership styles, and we'll go through those leadership styles. So I wanted to talk about the growth for identity. You need to know who you are, what your people are, what they need, is there alignment, and then what stage your club is in. And that gives you what the identity of your club is. And once you have that identity of your club, then you need to create your story. And your story should be very simple, plain English, single line. So one of the things was I was talking with a guy up in my early bird club last night, and we were talking about what the culture is for early bird. We're 28 members, I think now. We were about 20 at the beginning of the year. So we've done really good up there. And it's just this great, vibrant club. We usually have about 20 people at every single meeting. So we've got some good growth and we have a lot of energy in the room on Saturday mornings. And he said, well, what do you think the culture is there? And I said, we are a safe place to fail. And that's really what it is with that club. We are a very safe place to fail. It's like our room is completely lined with pillows and we encourage people to get in there and just dive head first because you may fly. And that's what that club is about. Now, the advanced club is a very different type of a club. That is a club where if you want to go pro, you should go with that club. It's just a very, very different thing. So, but you need to know your identity and you need to know how that aligns up and what stage of growth you're in so you can line all this up and then come up with creating your story. And once you know your story, then you can start to attract people to you because you know what you are. All right, so that's the first part. So I want you to know who your organizational identity is. The second part, domino goal. Blah, I need more coffee. All right, so let's talk about a domino goal. How do we grow? You need to find your domino goal. So usually it's with membership and guests, but it might not be because your front door might be wide open and people might be coming in like crazy, but your back door might also be wide open and people might be leaving just as quickly. I am coaching an organization right now that has no problem attracting people at all. Can people get in all day long? But the back door is flying open, is there. I mean, and the churn in that company is crazy. And so working with them to get that back door shut nice and tight. So we need to find the domino goal. And the way that you do that is this. In a perfect world, come up with the top 10 goals that you would have for your club, just in a perfect world. So I'm just going to open it up really quickly and have anybody who wants to rattle off 3 or 4 that in the perfect world would be their top goals for their club. Who wants to play with me?
Everyone mentors somebody.
Love it. What else you got?
Speeches are given every meeting.
Okay, excellent.
Encourage stepping out of your comfort zone. Safe place to fail.
Comfort zone, love it. All right, keep on going, you guys. You're doing great.
Retaining members.
Retaining members, beautiful. What else you guys got?
A mentoring session once every week.
What was that done once a week, Megan?
Mentoring, club mentoring. I have a session online every week.
Love it. All right, keep on going. Give me a couple more and then I'll show you what to do with this.
Fun meetings.
Fun. Love fun meetings.
Engaged membership. People sign up. People are chomping at the bit to do things.
That's a huge one too, isn't it? It really is, getting the roles filled and moving them through to hit their goals. Okay, so you write down your top 10 goals for your club. And do this with your executive committees where you just go through and you're like, all right, perfect role. What do we have? We have boom, 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 boom. Once you have that, I want you guys to literally pretend like you're waving your magic wand. So you're going to wave your magic wand, and out of that magic wand being waved, the question you're going to ask is this: what is one goal out of this whole list that if we did this one goal, everything else either doesn't matter or is completely simplified? What is that one thing? And it should jump out at you. It should literally jump out and go, that's the one we need to focus in on. And once you have that goal, then you have your domino goal. So that goal goes onto a separate piece of paper. It's your domino goal. So what we did up in Early Bird, we haven't started this process yet with keynotes, but with Early Bird, we did this, and the domino goal came out to double size, to go from 20 to 40. That's our domino goal. Because if we hit that, we know that everything else is going to line up. All of it will line up all the way down. So then once we had our domino goal, then we just took it and we broke it down. We prioritized what it is that we wanted to do. We action item it, and then we do it consistently. We consistently work on our domino goal. It is the one thing we focus on every single executive club meeting, every single one. We start off, once we hit down with the, and I'll walk you through our agenda and what it is that we do, but we start off and then we hit that domino goal. What is that? Every single month that we meet, what is our domino goal? And because we have that single-minded focus, that's how it's helped us to go from our 20 to our 28 so far, and plowing forward, because I really want us to keep that eye on that 40. All right, so that's the second step, is going through that domino goal. Third step, guest-centered culture. So guest-centered culture. I took this from Toastmasters. They did a fact sheet that came out, I think it came out July of last year. I'm looking forward to the new one. I hope that they do this every year. I don't know if they do or not, but I loved this. This is just a portion of it. But 86.1% of the people said that they build social connections and network with others. And I thought, that is why we go into Toastmasters. That's a huge portion of it. And this is telling us exactly what it is that people want. So we went through and we really looked at what it is that we do to make sure that we're growth-minded and we're helping people with their social connections, and we're helping people come in and feel that networking and feel that love. And we found out that it was just a few steps. So the first step is just to invite people. It's so simple. Will you come with me on Saturday? It's at 8 o'clock. Just come with me on Saturday, and then we'll go do breakfast afterwards, that kind of thing. So it's just come with me. That's all it is. It's a simple invitation. And then for keynotes and more, when we're inviting people to that, it's literally like, hang on, I think you'd be a good fit. Tell me what it is you want to do and how you want to grow, because it's an events club. And I need to know that portion of it. I think you'd be a good fit. Come check us out. And it's just as simple as that. So it just starts with the invitation. Really, really, really easy. We don't have to make this more complicated than it is. Come with me on Saturday. Come check us out on Tuesday. Susan, just like you said, would you like an invite? That's it. That's it. Would you like an invite? Yes, I would. I wouldn't be asking if I didn't want you to respond with something like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be asking. I would go, yeah, that's great. And I would just blow it off and move on to something else. So it starts with the invite. Once we do the invite, we make them feel really welcome. We set our expectations. We introduce them. We give them a guest packet. The way that we introduce them when we're at Early Bird, again, it's an in-person meeting, is I stop, so I'm president, so I stop in the very beginning of the meeting, and I always say, look, first off, who are you and how'd you find us? And so they tell me that, and then I say, there's going to be a portion where you're going to be allowed to speak. If you want, you can, you don't have to, but if you want, and you're really brave, you can come up here, and that's our table topics portion. But then at the very, very end, can you please help us grow? And I'm nodding yes when I'm asking this. And I say, we do this thing where we want to be able to see it through your eyes because it really helps us grow. So can you just kind of be thinking about the parts of the meeting that you liked and maybe the parts that you didn't as much? And can you help us with that? And again, I'm nodding yes. And they say yes. So I've set the expectations. We introduce, they know that they have an opportunity to talk if they want, but they also know that I'm going to ask them for an evaluation at the end. 2 weeks ago, we had someone who brought their 16-year-old kid, and this adorable boy with this mop of curly hair and these big kind eyes with his hands in his pockets, kind of looking down, this adorable kid evaluated our 3 speakers. He gave them this great evaluation afterwards. It was awesome. So, but we set the expectations and he kind of knew like this is going to happen. He actually did a table topics too. He's a great kid. Love this kid. I can't wait to, I'm like, you can come back anytime you want to, sweetie. You do not have to be 18 years old. You can come back to our group, but set the expectations, introduce them. We give them a guest packet. The guest packet has, it doesn't have the membership, how to join Toastmasters. It just has this is kind of the cast of characters. These are who the people are. So they are familiar with the titles that we assign, table topics, counter, that kind of stuff. And it has a welcome letter from me. Welcome to your next level of your story or the next chapter of your story. Would love to get to know you. It's very friendly. It's very short. It's easy to digest. I don't want to overwhelm people with a huge packet of information. So that guest packet just has a couple pieces of information, as one trifold Toastmaster printed, produced thing. I can't remember what it exactly is called. So that it is, it has that official good feeling. This is actually a Toastmasters group. So we set the expectations, we introduce them, we give them the guest packet. The next thing that we do is we ask them, can you help us? We want to see the meeting through your eyes. And then we try and plug them in. Are you going to come back next week? I'd love to have you next week. And again, nodding yes. When they say yes, I go, perfect, because we don't have a greeter. It's super easy. Can you help us? And I always bring my voice up at that part. Can you help us? And I plug them into that role, because that role is literally, it makes them feel needed, which is what I really, really want, but it's super easy. And can you stand up front and just like hold the door open when people arrive and just say hi? Well, yeah, I can do that. Thank you so much. And that's what I try and do. I try and get them in and get them plugged in right away. I love what Beth said, if you heard the panel earlier, where she said when the members come in, they actually sit down with them, they get them all the way through the onboarding process, they get them to pick out their pathways, and they schedule their first speech. I thought that was brilliant. So do what works for your club and the identity of who you guys are to cement them in as quickly as possible. Okay. And then I give them a bad time. I say, if they come back a second or third and they haven't joined yet, I say, I'm going to make you stand up here and speak every single time until you actually join. And I've actually had people who go, yes, I'm putting my stuff in because I know you're going to make me do that every single meeting. So I just play with them, and I just have fun with it. So, but I want them to come in and get connected in as fast as possible. So that's the second part we need, or the third part, we need to make them feel really welcome. All right, moving on. Leadership of leaders. All right. We talked about this already. We talked about the different growth stages. So now I want to talk about leadership and what that looks like and how that relates to the different growth stages. So these are the different types of leadership style. I have to keep on moving because the sun is coming in my window, which is a glorious thing, but it's getting blinded from it. So these are the different leadership styles. There's visionary, pace setter, transformational, coach, servant, democratic, autocratic, transactional. Visionary is someone who's very future focused. And by the way, as I'm going through these, I'm briefly going to explain each one of them. You're probably going to see yourself in 1, 2, 3 styles, maybe 4, but you'll see yourself in a couple of styles, and you'll also be able to see these are not the styles that I am. And there's nothing right or wrong with the different leadership styles at all. They're just different growth stages require different leadership styles. And you have within you the ability as leaders to morph and change into whichever styles work for the typical or that particular situation. However, if you're not, say, an autocratic leader by nature, and you are an organization where you have to do autocratic leadership day in, day out, you can do it. You're a smart cookie. We all can. It just makes you tired at the end of the day. That's the only difference. However, to pull it up on occasion when you need to, that's just a skill set. That's all that is. So just know that about the different leadership styles. There's nothing right or wrong about any one of them. They're just different needs for different organizations. We all have the ability to pull up the different sections. It's just that if you're in a mismatch culturally to what you are, you can do it, but it's going to wear you down. Okay, so visionary, very, very future focused. So this is the person that can see 10 miles ahead, knows exactly what direction they're going, also knows that you're off course a little bit and you need to course correct. So they cast that big, huge vision. Next one, pace setter. Pace setter sets big, huge goals. So they're 20 to 40. That's the pace setter. The pace setter is like, we have a big goal, get on board. Everybody get on board with the big goal. The servant leader It's exactly what it sounds like. It's servant leadership. It's the person that leads in upside down type of leadership versus this type of a leadership. They lead upside down and they support. It's very much, how can I support you? The democratic leader, that's equal voice, equal vote. So it's very much a pulling everyone in. We want to reach consensus. Let's get everyone's opinion. It's that type of a leader. The transformational leader is a leader that thinks very different. So they're very, you know, this person, they think very outside the box. You can always count on them for always thinking outside of the box. The coach is the one-on-one leader. They're the ones that, let's sit down, let's you and I just meet, let's talk one-on-one, let's figure out what it is that you need. It's that type of leader. The autocratic leader is the head honcho, my way or the highway. This is the way it's going to get done. I don't care about voting. There is no equal voice. There is none of that. This is the way we're going to do it. Get on board or get off the bus. And then the transactional leader is the leader that works really, really hard, and hard work is very rewarding. So I want to stop here for a second, and I want to know if anyone feels very strongly about these are the leadership styles that I'm very, very good at and that I really like, or that are naturally who I am.
I like the transformational and coach. Those are
Very interesting. Very interesting. Does anyone else have a couple that they definitely line up with?
Yeah, Gina.
Good.
Oh, I would say I'm more of like the like coach, pace setter, and transformational. Those three.
Okay. All right, cool.
I would say I'm a combo of the transformational coach and the visionary.
And the visionary. Okay. All right. Is anyone else? This is so interesting. I'll show you guys why in a second. Anyone else out there?
I have a question for later that you can build on after.
Yeah.
Is how do you work well with something that seems like an opposite of you?
Ah, that's very good. That's very good. Hang on to that for a second, okay? All right. So check this out, y'all.
Oh, hey, Gina.
Yep.
We have a question in the chat regarding this. It's from
Bring it
Joseph.
on. What you
Yeah, he
got?
said, yeah. So it's from Joseph. It says, "Do you choose a leadership and aim your alignments towards it, or do you find out your leadership style by growing into it?"
Oh my gosh, that's good. That's really good. I'm going to answer with me personally what happened with me. So I was interviewing, I was in Virginia and I was a team leader for Keller Williams, and I wanted to, there was nowhere to really move up. So I wanted to get another team leader position. And I had done in Virginia, I'd done a startup role. So literally I had an ownership group, and then we took it to 130 agents in a year, and I loved it. It's just small community. There was nowhere to grow. So I needed to figure out where I was going to go for my next step. And I flew out to California, and I interviewed with the guy that was running, who owned Newport Beach, which was about a 300-person office. And he needed a new team leader. So I met with him. I said, I'm going to be in the airport. I'd love to meet with you before I fly to my next place, fly the layover, blah, blah. So he met me at the airport. And in 5 minutes of meeting me, this guy looked at me and he said, I'm never going to hire you for this role. And I was shocked, because I've never, if I interview, I'm pretty good at getting it. I mean, I really am. And I'm not used to people 5 minutes in saying, yeah, you're not right. And he said, you are a starter. You are not a maintainer. And I was like, I kind of was like, what is that? You know, of course I can maintain. But he was dead on right. I am really good at starting things up. I am not good at maintaining. And can I maintain? Yes. Can I do turnarounds? Yes. I ended up eventually doing a turnaround office. So a pivot, a relaunch pivot office. And it was really hard for me. Now, did I do it? Yes. I did it for 4.5 years. And when I left, I was told I was the best team leader that they ever had. But I was worn out, just worn out. And I actually didn't work for about 6 months after that. My husband's like, are you going to work again? I'm like, yeah, I just need a break, man. I really do. So I can't say that I went into it learning, but I do know something that will help you. There's a book called Strengths Finder, Strengths with an S, Finder. And do not read the entire book. get the book. You have to get a new copy. It's Clifton Strengths Builder or something like that, but Strengths Finder will help you find it online. You have to get a new book, and because in the back of it, there's a QR code, and that QR code is a single-use code. So get that book, go to the back, get that QR code, and then take the 10 or 15-minute test, or however long the test takes you. It's very short. Take that test. And then it's going to tell you, these are your 7 strengths. It is not about personalities. It is not about work styles. It is not about behavioral styles. It's your actual strengths that you bring to an organization. And that is what helped me identify what I am. And that is that I'm a visionary and a pace setter. I'm also transformational, and I'm good at coaching. I am not autocratic. It's not my gig. Can I do it? Yes, I can. But it's not my comfort zone. It's really not. So I hope that answers your question. That's what helped me a lot with Strengths Finders. And it basically, when you find out something about yourself that you're like, yeah, I always knew that, but I didn't know it because I'd never been put into words before. That's kind of what it helped me with. So whatever your leadership styles are, those usually line up with these different growth phases. So if you're a visionary pace setter, startup is going to be a good one for you. Can I do a pivot also? Yes, because I'm transformational and I'm coach based also. But the relaunch that I did in the Bay Area, that was really hard for me because the first year it required an autocratic leader, and it's not something that I enjoy doing. So it wears me down. And then after we got the thing turned around, it really required a lot of nurturing because I'd gone through something like 12 team leaders in 8 years or something. And they really did require a lot of nurturing, and that's the servant democratic. And again, those aren't my strength sets. They're just not. So it wore me down. But the super stupid hard work of starting a thing up and working 18 hours a day for, year after year, that just energizes me. Absolutely energizes me. So again, I want you to look at your leadership and then how it lines up. All right, I want to move over into the next one because I know I'm running closer on my time here. All right, so once you have those pieces of information, you're all looking for alignment with everything. So think about that as you're looking at who your president's going to be next year, who your VPE is going to be, and what your leadership team is going to be, and put together that dream team that aligns up with the growth phase and also your identity of who you are as an organization. But don't forget about the wild cards. So what wild cards are, I call them wealth determiners. This is a person that a lot of times they're really hard to recognize. They maybe come from the wrong side of the tracks. They may be unpolished, unpedigreed, unschooled, all the uns, but they all have one thing. They could be a high school dropout. They could be someone who had a rough background growing up. It could be a woman that has just divorced her husband, and they all have one thing to prove, and they all have one thing in common, and that thing in common is they have something to prove. And this type of person, when you recognize them, what you do is you let them run like crazy, put them in leadership, let them run like crazy. They're going to fall on their face. When they do, pick them up, dust them off, clean them up a little bit, polish the edges a little bit, and let them run again. And then they're going to fall on their face again. And then you pick them up again. You will go far once you can recognize the wild cards or the wealth determiners. They're not what you expect, but when they show up, we all know that kid that came out of nowhere, has no schooling underneath his belt. They turned over the company to him and he did amazing. It's a little bumpy, but he got it there. That's what we're looking at here. These are called wealth determiners or wild cards. So don't overlook this when you're looking for your next level of leadership. All right, setting us up for success. When we do our agendas, we sit down with everybody, the first executive committee meeting, and I say, I want to know a personal goal. I don't care what it is, just a personal goal that you want to accomplish. So I get their personal goal. I then get a Toastmasters goal. We then have our one big, huge domino goal, and we build that into the perfect agenda. And what that looks like is something like this. We have who was there, last month's minutes, and then the very first thing that we go into is all of our personal goals. And those are tracked on a spreadsheet. And it's literally mine, Gina, where are you on losing your weight? So I've lost about 12 of my pounds that I want to go, and I've got like 15 more to go. So that's my personal goal. Where are you on your personal goal? Yours. And if someone's struggling, we stop and we help them with their personal goal. And then we go through their Toastmaster goal or their big life goal. I can go with either one here. Where are you with that? Mine was to complete an entire path. I got my entire path done in about 5 months, 4 months, something like that. So we just worked through everybody with where they are in that goal. The reason why we do this is because this is a volunteer position. It should not hurt you in your life to volunteer for us. It should lift you up in your life. And if we do that and we do it right, then everybody will want to be part of this leadership group because they will be able to look at the other people who did it last year and see the amazing growth. And that's why we do it. I call it upside down leadership. So, and then we go through our big, huge rock, which is our domino goal, the small rocks, which those are just the little tiny things that we all said we were going to do towards that rock, old business, new business, etc. So that's what our agenda is. It's set up to raise leaders of leaders. All right, moving on. The true secret to growth. This is what a growth mindset really is. All it is the world is going to change and we're going to be okay. That's a growth mindset. It relies on these 4 components. It's effort, not talent. It's not that, it's just work. That's all it is. If you tell kids you did a really, really good job, you worked really, really hard, or you tell a kid you're really smart, good job, and then you give them another task immediately after you give them one of those 2 feedbacks, if the kid that you said you're really smart, if you give them a task that's a little too hard, they won't do it. They'll back out or they'll cheat on it because you've told them that they're smart and they need to uphold that I'm smart. And now you gave me something too hard outside what I can do. But if you tell a kid you worked really, really hard, that was effort and you did it, they will try even harder. So it's effort, not talent. Number 2, you don't have to know everything. You're not going to know everything. It's much better to go in going, I don't know what this is. I actually asked somebody a question yesterday after our contest we did post Toasties, and I asked a question. He said, you know this. And I'm like, no, I don't. And it was pretty basic. I'm like, no, I don't. Because if I did it, I wouldn't have asked you the question. Like, I literally don't know this. Number 3, you can learn. Everybody can. Our brains are not set in stone. They're plastic. We can learn. And number 4, you're going to make mistakes. And then the last one, I'm going to skip. I'm going to go really quickly through this. I will listen to a critic if a critic is an inviter. Oh my gosh, Gina, the floor was really messy. Can we make sure the floor is picked up? I'm inviting somebody over. I will listen to them all day long. The other critics, I really don't listen to. If you're going to be an inviter, I will listen to you. But otherwise, I'm not. You need to get on the bus. All right. But you guys want to know the secret? The true secret to growth? Come on, give me some nods of yes. All right. It's you. Your organization grows to the extent that you grow. You have to know your identity. You need to know your domino goal. You need to be able to see it through guest eyes, and you need to be able to lift up your leaders. And you have to embrace change, and you need to have a growth mindset. And when you do, your organization will grow too. All right, that is a QR code. Go ahead and snap a picture of it if you want. That dumps you straight into my email. My email is Gina, Gina is my hero. So Gina is my hero @gmail.com. If you've got questions or you want this slideshow or anything, I am more than happy to help you. I'm absolutely, it's my passion. I almost, there's been many times in my life where I've wanted to quit and people have reached out and helped me. And that has made the difference of why I am where I am today. I'm a firm believer in giving back. So I am going to take this down. I'm going to stop sharing and I am going to open it up for your questions. What do you guys want to know?
How do you interact with those leadership styles that seem to be the opposite?
That's so good. So the first thing is that different leadership styles have different purposes and different stages of growth or different areas of growth. So I try very hard to align the person with the thing that needs to be done. And I will look for where that is in the organization. Let me see. There was, when I was doing real estate offices, there was a person that irritated me. They just irritated me. And they were always like so precise and particular. And so I gave them everything that had to do with precise and particular. And I leaned into them. I'm like, can you help me? Like, I need help with this. And they were so happy to be getting those things that I didn't like doing anyway. And I kept them busy. That's really what I did. So I try very hard to find, one, the value in that human being. And then 2, where a good role would be for them. But then 3, we also talk about, like we talked about last week, we might have to move our location because we're running out of space. And so we talked about there may be conflict, there may be hurt feelings. Here's how we deal with that. And we did a whole thing on conflict and how you handle that. Basically, talk face to face, belly to belly. That's the main thing with that. And we talked about triangulation also. So if you're mad at you, but I can't help you, well, you need to go talk to the person who can help you. So some things like that. Because again, they're not good or bad. They're different. They're just different. And different leadership styles is different than somebody that's a cancerous to a club. That's a whole different conversation. This is just a different leadership style. Okay, good question. What else we got?
I missed your third point under growth mindset. What was your third point?
Oh, you're going to make me go backwards and find my third point. Hang on one second. I'm going to go cheat. You can learn. Your
Okay.
brain is not set in stone. It's plastic. They have done all these studies with people in their 80s and 90s and taught them new skill sets, and they can learn. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Neuroplasticity. Thank you. Thank you very much. Husbands, maybe not. Everybody else. Yeah. Only joking. What else you got? Let me see if I can pull up anything going on in chat also. Let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So very well done. Thank you for food for thought. 35-minute screen card. Thank you. I've taken that Clifton Strengths. Joseph, you took Clifton Strengths. It's good, isn't it? Joseph, you still here? There you are. Do you remember any of them out of curiosity? Oh, I'm going once, going twice. All right, I'm going to move over to Michael Stover, who said, what are good careers for starters? I think I'm more of a starter too. Michael, I look for anything that's a startup. I love startups. Entrepreneurial, I have to find, I will constantly trying to look at what it is that I do and find the new portions of it that excite me. The key is there's always the other stuff that you don't want to do that you still have to do. So there's always that component of it also. But I really do look for things that I can do that are startups. And I know me, I am really, really good at starting. I need really good people behind me and alongside me who can help me clean up the chaos and the mess. That's just what I need. If it's something that is so simple a monkey can do it, I will screw it up. If it's complicated and it requires thought and energy and hard work and all that aligns up with who I am. It just does. The cool thing is there's not as many of us as there are with the other people who like to be maintainers, for instance. There's a whole bunch of people like that. And that's awesome because I need those people. I really, really do. And the sun rises and sets on them too. Like a really good, strong admin person, whenever I meet someone that's rock star at that job, I'm always like, sun rises and sets on you. Like, I'm not even joking because I don't think that many people who are starters understand how valuable that is, how truly amazing and valuable. And I will go 10 times farther if I've got that good support with me. Yeah. So just look for those. I love real estate. I mean, I love real estate. And then I love coaching and teaching and training because every time I coach anybody, it's a constant of being on my toes to be able to really pour into that person and help them the way they need to help. So what else we got? Love starting things. I need people through. Oh my God, you are not kidding there. What do you do when you're the only committed leader in the club and other leaders are too busy to lead? Very good question, Janelle. I hope I'm pronouncing you correctly, Janelle. And if I'm not, please correct me. So I've had a lot of leadership that I've had to recruit my way around. I've just had to recruit my way around it. And thank you, darling. I have had, I will come alongside them and I will try and I like doing one-on-ones and I like trying to see if I can get inside their head. I like trying to see if can you help and how can you help? I understand you don't have time. Maybe someone doesn't have enough time, but I still want your brain because your brain's really valuable. Or, maybe there is something in there, but they're not getting the value out of it. So I'll try and do one-on-ones to see if I can find it. But if I can't, I'm going to recruit my way out of it. And I'm just going to go find my people who can. I've had conversations with people before that it's different than that. It's more the cancer, the poison stuff. I had when I was doing one of my offices, I literally sat down with one, I don't remember who the person was, but hang on. Yes, I do. I had to think for a second. But I said, it's literally like you own Coca-Cola stock and you drink Pepsi. Like, come on, don't be this way. to try and bring them around. How do you recruit good talent? So, Michael, you recruit who you are. You literally recruit who you are. So you got to think a bit outside the box of ways to figure out what you want to do and what you want to attract and how you want to get them. I was, again, just on the phone last night, and we were talking about reaching out into our communities. I have an idea for Keynotes and More, which, I cannot wait to talk about that idea, because that's an online advanced virtual club. But for the in-person one in particular, I want to do speech. Is a speechcraft? Is that where you go out and you go into the community? That's what I really want to do, because I think we need a new level of a new generation of leadership. I think they're probably in their 30s and 40s. They're busy, kids and jobs. So we need to be able to come in and go, we can help you here, here, and here. We can help you if you want to grow. If you're struggling with this or this or this, we can help with that. And if we lift them up and they hit the goals they want to hit, then they're cemented for life. They really are. But it has to be this upside down leadership. All right, what else we got in there? Yes, I agree. Keynotes and More. They're awesome. Clifton Strengths, Neuroplasticity, yellow card, saw that. Thank you so much. Good careers for starters. There's an in-depth version too. Yes, there is. It gives you your top 5 strengths. Yes, it's 5. It's not 7. You're right. And Janelle, servant, democratic, and transactional. Very interesting. So now you can see what kind of a growth stage you'll line up really well with. Golden Gavel Award, cool, same here, definitely want the presentation. I wanted to help with our local Toastmasters to continue and grow. I'm passionate about growth too. Got a new message down here, 2 minutes. All right. Anybody else have anything else? So we've got 2 minutes that we can get answered. Steve, I don't know if you're talking to me or not.
Sorry.
Mike?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I missed the other thing I missed that you said that I didn't write down quickly enough was transactional. Would you define that again? In leadership styles?
The transactional leader type is you're going to make me go back into my notes because my brain just fries. Okay. So transactional is, I had to go back to my graphic. Transactional is hard work. That's why they work so good with the relaunch. Now, they will work good with the startup also. That one definitely can move all over the place as far as, but they really reward hard work. So when I had to do the turnaround office and we had so many complainers, all I would do is focus on the numbers. I'm like, no, this is where we're going. These are the numbers. Get on board or whatever. And there were some big numbers that we focused on. And I did something, this caused a big, huge stir. I printed what was called a top-down sheet, which basically had every single agent and had their level of production. And I put it on my wall, my window every single month. And the agents came in, it was all about working. And so everything was like, no, we have a goal. We're going to work towards this goal. This is where we're going. And some of the agents for about the first 2 or 3 months came in my office and told me what a horrible human being I was because I embarrassed all the agents because of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're just going to try. We're just going to try. But then 3 or 4 months in, if that piece of paper wasn't taped up to my window by about the 3rd day of the month, I had agents who were banging on my window and doing this and pointing at the form. I'm like, I'm trying. So it was about moving that into that. We're just going to focus on the numbers and to quiet down the murmuring. Yeah. So that's a hard work. All right. Who else has got anything?
I don't know if you have time, but how to deal with the
Make
cancer
time for you,
toxic
darling.
types.
What do you got?
How to deal with the cancer toxic types. Keep a safe environment.
Okay. So this is unpopular, but here we go. If you can't work with them, you got to cut them out and you got to do it for the growth of the organization. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's unpopular. Can we kill them or hide the bodies? If you do hide the bodies, I know how to do, no, I don't know how to do this. However, I've thought about how to do this. You really do have to remove them out for the growth of it. And you got to look at, here's what I think, here's my honest opinion. You got to look at how many people you're losing because of the cancer, because I have been in organizations where I was not in leadership and we had cancer and I am a leader and I pretty much sit back like this. And I'm like, how long are you going to let this go on? Because I'm assessing you as a leader and I'm just watching you. Like, are you going to let it continue? You're going to take care of it. And 99% of the time, everybody knows that the cancer is there. Everybody's waiting to see how long it is before you actually take care of it. And everybody breathes a huge sigh of relief when you do, except for cancer person. Cancer is going to kick, scream, and, you know, yell and throw a fit and everything else. But everybody else knows. They all know. So there you go. There's my unpopular answer. You got to cut cancer out. You got to cut it out, because if you don't cut it out, it leads a really ugly, gross wound, which won't heal. But if you cut it out, it's a clean wound and you can heal.
I have an analogy to complement one of the grossest things, gangrene. If you don't take care of it, it will spread through your whole body and kill you.
Absolutely.
So
That's
it's
absolutely
better to
true.
just cut it off.
Yep. And I will try and work with them to start with. I'll try and give them the benefit of the doubt. I have seen one person turn around. There were 3 ladies that were very, very cancerous. One of them went through a massive traumatic, she had a heart attack, actually. She had a heart attack. She was gone for like 8, 10, 12 weeks, something like that. And when she came back, her office was shared with these other 2. She had us move her office out of there into a different location. And she did a night and day turnaround. And she said she didn't realize until her heart attack how poisonous that was. Now, I was not in leadership in that office. I was just watching, but I watched that person turn around. I had a kid turn around one time who came in my office. He had a problem with my young kid. And so he got into it with my front desk, and I pulled him aside, and I was like, you can't treat my front desk that way. And he did something the second time, and I pulled him in the second time, and I'm like, you're done. And I actually used a bad curse word on purpose and deliberate, which I never do in leadership, ever. But I needed to shake this kid up, right? And so I'm like, you're done. Pack up your stuff. You're out of here. And I'm not going to hear from you this weekend. You're not, blah. And my phone began buzzing like crazy. He called me all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And so finally I talked to him Sunday night, and he's like, please, 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 please. And I'm like, never again. You have one more shot, never again. Because I will give people a chance. And from that point forward, now he didn't last that long before he left. He lasted maybe another 6 months before he couldn't cut with it. But he was the most polite, kindest gentleman you ever saw in your entire life. Night and day different. So I've seen 2 then change, one older, one younger, but that's it.
Gina, I have a question.
Yeah.
Of the 8 leadership styles that you presented,
Yeah.
Was there one that's more likely to have more of a growth mindset? Is there one more likely not to have a growth mindset?
That's so good. Okay, so I would think visionary and pace setter, because they're starters. Transformational, because they think different. Servant can, but they usually don't have the drive, because you need that drive. Autocratic can too, as I'm looking at the different styles, because autocratic, if they're visionary plus autocratic and they've got that clear, this is where we're going, they can also. They'll drag it kicking and screaming, and sometimes that's what it needs. So
Transactional?
Transactional is big. They're heavy work, so they can turn stuff around too. You need to cast, I think you need a visionary, because you really need to, and the autocratic can have that also, but you really need to cast a goal to get people like, that's where we're going. And the autocratic just has it. It's just that they're driving the bus, and you will get on only their bus. That's the only bus that's going. Yeah, good question.
Thank you so much. It looks like we're almost running out of time.
Yep.
I think we have like closing remarks. Great
Closing,
presentation.
thank you. Closing remarks. I'm going to echo what was said earlier. Love your people, find out their strengths, look for those wild cards. Don't be afraid to put people in leadership, and give them a place to make mistakes, and know that we're human beings. We're going to. It's all right. We'll pick ourselves up, we'll learn from it, and we'll keep on going.